I remember being in film school and we learned how to do everything, except one thing. We learned how to shoot, how to edit, how to load a 35mm camera, how to light a scene, how to record sound. But at one point, someone asked a simple question that completely stopped the room. What does a director actually do on set? And the strange thing was that nobody really had an answer. So in this video, I want to break down what a director actually does on a professional film set, day to day, what that work really is, how that job really works, and why the answer is different from what most people expect. Over the years, I realized this is a question that a lot of filmmakers, young and experienced, don't really know the answer to.
Don't we all want to go to each other's sets and
and just be very small?
An experienced director knows what they do on set, but they don't really know what other directors do on set. And the truth is that there's no one single answer, because what a director does on set depends on the director. But there is a common structure, and those responsibilities don't change once you're on a legitimate film set. And before I get to the specifics of on the day, I just want to say that by the time a director shows up to set, they've already spent months in pre-production preparing everything that they need. You've already gone over the script over and over with the entire production team. You're doing table reads, read-throughs, you're doing it with the actors, you're doing it with the department heads. Meanwhile, you're doing this, the first AD is scheduling the entire film to figure out which scenes should be shot in which order. And as you're going through the script, all the department heads are asking the questions that they need in order to prepare what they are needing to prepare for the shoot. So they can look through the script, ask questions, ask the director what their vision is, how they want to accomplish something. They mark all this stuff down, keeping in mind what their budget is and what their schedule is, how much time they're going to need to accomplish all of that. Meanwhile, they're checking with the first AD to see which scenes are going to be shot first so they can schedule those things first. So you have the prop people, the wardrobe people, the set design, everybody is going off and planning what they need to prepare for the shoot. And during this time, this is when the director is asking for everything that they could possibly need. Because if you don't ask for it in prep, you definitely don't get it on set. And if something isn't feasible, that's the time where they discuss compromises, flexibility, what's actually feasible and what's not. And if you need to change a location or something in the script based off of logistics, that's the time that you make those changes, not when you're already on set trying to figure it out on the day. So all of that stuff is like a roadmap and a blueprint before you even start rolling cameras. So when you finally arrive on set, you're not inventing the movie from scratch. You've had all the discussions with department heads, you've talked to the actors about their characters and motivations, you're executing decisions that were already made and then adjusting things on set when reality sets in and things get in the way, because things do change on a film set. There's the movie you prep for, the movie you shoot, and the movie that you edit. So that's all of the preparation and pre-production that happens before you even arrive to set. Something that surprises people is actually how small the director's inner circle is on a film set. You're not talking to every department head all of the time. Most of the day, you're talking to a very small, tight-knit group of people. That usually comes down to the director of photography, the first AD, the script supervisor, and the actors. Really, it's the relationship between the director and the director of photography that are capturing the physical scene, what you're seeing on camera. And that's usually coincided with the help of a script supervisor to make sure that the continuity is good. They're keeping track of things that came before, things that are coming next, and making sure that any of those oversights are communicated to the director so that they stay on point with what the script is calling for. Meanwhile, you have the first AD, the first assistant director, who is keeping everything on schedule, making sure that everything that needs to be shot that day is getting shot. So you have a certain allotted time to shoot each scene. If you're shooting 5 pages in a day, they make sure that you're getting those 5 pages in a day. The first AD is also making sure that while you're shooting the current scene, that the next scene is already being prepped to shoot. So the actors that need to be in the scene have arrived on set, they're in hair and makeup, and that the department heads that are involved in that scene are ready in the wing to go once you finish shooting the current scene. They're the ones that really keep everything moving on set, even nudging the director and making sure that they're on schedule. And the camera department is obviously very involved in this group, and you have your first ACs, your first assistant cameras, and they're swapping lenses or pulling focus. And you also have your sound department that's right there in the mix. They're prepping the actors with microphones, making sure that the levels are good. And they're the other ones that are in with the mix. But as far as the decisions go, it's usually between the director of photography, and the actors. So directing on set isn't about commanding 100 people at once. It's about staying locked in with a small group of people in order to translate the script into a reality. Speaking of translating ideas into reality, that's actually a big part of what today's sponsor, Envato, is all about. If you're a filmmaker, creative, or entrepreneur, having access to high-quality creative assets can save you a ton of time. Envato brings everything together in one creative toolkit with millions of assets, including videos, photos, music tracks, sound effects, fonts, 3D assets, and more. They also have ready-to-use templates for websites, presentations, graphics, and pitch decks so you're not always starting from scratch. Plus, if you need something more specific, Envato has AI tools that can help you find, refine, or generate video, image, and audio assets. Every download and AI generation comes with simple lifetime commercial licensing. If you'd like to learn more, check out Envato in the link in the description. Thanks to Envato for sponsoring this video. Now, let's jump back into what a director actually does on set. Once you're actually on set, a director's day follows a pretty consistent rhythm, even though different directors have different ways of working. The day usually always starts with the first scene that you're planning to shoot. You'll show up on set, you're gonna meet with your first AD, and you're gonna get any department heads that are necessary for that scene. So obviously your director of photography, who's gonna be talking with the key grip, who's in charge of the lights. You're gonna walk through the scene for everybody to see what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve, so everybody can see specifically, even though you've talked about it in prep, now they can see it in the environment and you know exactly what you're doing. You'll do it with the actors if you can, and this is what they call blocking, where you're determining where an actor is going to move, how they're going to move around the set, and that is directly related to where the camera is going to need to be positioned, how the lighting needs to act, how they're going to interact with the props, and all of that stuff gets determined in this sort of meeting that you have before you're going to shoot the scene. And you would typically do this with any scene, not even just at the beginning of the day, but before you start shooting a new scene, you sort of just walk through it with everybody that needs to be involved. And again, that's usually a pretty small group of people, maybe 5 to 10 people. That way the camera department can see how the camera is supposed to move, so they know like what kind of setups to prepare. Maybe they need to get the dolly prepared for the shot coming after the one you're going to shoot, or maybe you want to use a jib or something like that, and so they can be off preparing those things while you're shooting the current scene. And this isn't about perfect blocking, it's really just a general way to get everybody on the same page of what you're shooting for the day and get everybody prepped. Once everybody's walked through it, then usually the actors are sent off to hair and makeup to get them prepared, and everybody goes to work prepping for what the scene needs to be. And once the actors go away, if the lighting department needs to have actors standing in to see what the scene looks like and camera needs somebody there for reference, then that's when they'll have stand-ins come in, which are actors that look like the main cast, and they're standing there to get a sense of placement and lighting and all that stuff, so everybody can set the scene up. Once the actors come back, then the director will walk through it again once with them, and that's when you really start talking to the actors in a deeper way about what they're about to shoot. And this is when the set becomes a lot more intimate. The people that don't need to be there kind of step away. Only the key people that are involved in that scene that need to record that scene are there. And then at that point, it's really just between the director and the actors, because everybody else knows what they're doing. They're doing it over and over again, and the director is just watching and making sure that he's capturing the scene that is needed. And occasionally there might be technical tweaks. Maybe a camera needs to do something different. They want to try something, or maybe the lighting doesn't look quite right. But usually that stuff is worked out beforehand. And in the part where you're capturing, it is really about the performance. And this is where the script supervisor is really paying close attention to make sure that all the things that are needed for continuity make sense. And if anything stands out, like if a character is holding a prop the wrong way, or if a character said something before and the actor changed the line this time, if it needs to be brought up to the director to say, hey, these are two contradicting things, those sort of like logistical problems get brought up to the director as they're going, because usually the director is just focusing on the performance at that point. And everybody is like separate pieces of an orchestra trying to capture the same thing. So camera's making sure their stuff is good, sound is making sure their stuff is good, and the director is just leading everybody in getting the moment on screen. And that cycle repeats throughout the day. While the first AD is making sure that the machine keeps running, the director is capturing the performances and the visuals and making sure that everything is cohesive. And this is where things sort of depend on the type of director that you are, because when you're the director on a film set, you literally could do anything that you want. So there's some directors that prefer to be right there next to the camera. There's some directors that prefer to operate the camera themselves. Some directors are away in Video Village just watching the monitor and the screen as the same way that an audience will be viewing this movie, and they want to make sure that it looks good on screen. Some directors are acting themselves, so performing while they're directing. And it's just a wide mix, a wide array of how directors choose to work, where they want to be and what their style is. But at the end of the day, they are the ones in the center of the production making all of the decisions. And the one thing that doesn't really change between a small independent film and a major motion picture is that the people that are involved. There is still a tiny core amount of people at the center that I mentioned before: the director, director of photography, AD, script supervisor. And when you're on a bigger production, the amount of people outside of that circle just gets a lot bigger. So then when you're a director and you need to call on something, you're able to make bigger adjustments on the flip of a dime. If you need to bring in a different set piece, if you need different set design, a different prop or something, you have a bigger assembly line outside of your circle that can just fly things in a lot quicker. Whereas when you're on a small production, you're the only only one in that little circle, so you have to do everything. There is no other outside help that you can get. Think of it like a big production as like a giant crew pit stop where anything that you need, somebody can fly in and give it to you. When you're on a small crew, there's nobody outside of that circle to give these things to you, and so you have to do everything yourself. Now, while at the same time, because there's so many more people on a bigger film set, things do tend to take longer, setups take longer. When you're on a smaller film crew, there's a lot less things to move for a new setup or for a new scene, and you can get things done a lot quicker. Something else that school doesn't prepare you for is that you're never fully making the movie that's in your head. You're making the best version of that movie within the constraints of the budget, time, actors, weather, and anything that changes on the day of the shoot. Some days you're steering the ship exactly where you want it to go, and other days you're just trying to steer it away from hitting the rocks. So when people ask, what does a director do on set? The honest answer is, it depends. It depends on the director, it depends on the scale of production, and it depends on the constraints of the day. But underneath all of that, there is a through line, and the job is actually very simple. A director's job is to make sure that everyone is making the same movie. Not the movie in their head, but the movie that the director has envisioned. And every decision, performance, camera, look, tone, style is in service of that. Anyways, I hope that paints a better picture of what a director actually does on a film set. Thanks for sticking around and watching the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, later.